You either is or you ain't. You do or you don't. You can or you can't. Or you will or you won't. Either way, baby, a good man, well, he's hard to find. Welcome to the One More for the Good Guys podcast, where good guys gather to shed light on the good life, the people, and the good things that make it that way. I'm Mike McGill with my co-host, Jamie Akins. Now, raise your glass, lend us your ear, and let's have one more for the good guys. You either is or you ain't. You do or you don't. You can or you can't.
On today's guest episode, we have our friend and soon-to-be yours, Mr. Steve Wildsmith, Tennessee native, music lover, journalist, published writer, and collegiate instructor. Steve is truly one of the good guys who has become the best friend of every local musician in our town. He's tirelessly supported and written about our local and regional music scene over many years. Without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Steve Wildsmith.
But yeah, so this was, I know in 2020, when we were, well, no, I guess, yeah. It'd been 2020. We were going to be going to our first it would have been our first show in the Bijou. And you were still at the paper at the time, and you were writing stories, and we talked, and that's when I was building.
Yep.
During the time I was building all this stuff. So you finally made it.
I did, man. I finally made it. See the honky tonk.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming out.
Man, thanks for having me. Always good to hang with you.
We were talking there earlier about a few things, and I guess we figured out that we had met through, I guess Jeff Barbara had introduced you and I back.
Y'all were playing White Oak Flats
20 years ago?
At least.
At least, yeah.
Yeah, probably around 20 years ago.
Yeah, I had went to Gatlinburg and started playing with a fellow by the name of Kenny Bolin and another upright bass player, Robbie Helton.
Oh, Robbie.
Yeah, old Slappy. And and they had gotten me to come up to front the show and be the, be the front man. And then the management wanted to start, we were playing at a timeshare, so we played at like 8:30 in the mornings, which was crazy. And, there'd be 100 families into this, what the fuck, in the lobby of this timeshare. Brain's gonna work in a minute, I promise. In this timeshare lobby. So while these people were getting ready to go upstairs, take all these tours, they were, this one was fussing at the wife, and the wife was fussing at the husbands, and, oh, you cheap bastard, you couldn't buy Dollywood tickets on your own. We have to do a timeshare tour, and, stuff like that. So they wanted us to come in and be entertainment, right, before they took them up on the kill floor, as I like to call it, and at the crime share. But at any rate, we were doing that, and they started wanting to add fourth people, and we had a couple of fiddle players and a couple of other folks, and I knew Jeff. Jeff was a halfway decent mandolin player, but he could sing, so he could help me with the workload of, because I was doing all the singing at that point in time, and it would give us another instrument. So yeah, that's where I had went to him and said, "Hey man, you need to come up here and try out for this job and see how it goes." So we had worked up there for several years. I guess I'd been up there a couple of years before that, and then maybe 4 after Jeff started, 3 or 4 or something like that. But yeah, we were up in Gatlinburg, the big log cabin in the sky.
And then you guys started the Drunk Uncles and followed you. I mean, hell, I've written about you just about every outfit you've played with. Cat House Prophets, the Refills, sure. Romeos, you name it. Whatever you've been doing, man, we always kind of circle back and catch up and let folks know.
Yeah, and you were with the Daily Times at that point,
right?
In Maryville, and was a huge advocate for us to help promote our things and do write-ups for us on shows. And you did liner notes too on something. Was it the Uncle's record?
It might have been.
I believe it might have been,
or maybe the bio. I can't remember exactly, but I know I did something for you guys. But I mean, that was a great thing about that gig, man. Is I had. They pretty much just gave me the entertainment section. It's pretty unheard of for a small paper like that. I mean, the Sentinel, the Knoxville paper, it makes sense. You got an entertainment section. But, I mean, the Maryville paper having a, weekend entertainment section, and they just let me do it. I mean, they never told me what to cover, what to write. So, I tried to focus on the local scene, and we did some fun stories, but we also had some fun photo shoots, like you guys with Bodie the chicken.
Oh God,
out there at Gordy Gilbertson's shop, I think.
It was out in his. Gordy was our fiddle player with the Drunk Uncles, for folks that didn't know, and he had he built custom cabinets.
Hell of a wood shop.
Yeah, and you'd think the man could make money out of it or something. He was a professional, but and he had this pet rooster
named Bodie.
Named Bodie. And for whatever reason, the rooster came in that day and jumped up on the pool table while we were shooting pool. And so he got in the photo shoot.
Yeah, he was a photo shoot of all the drunk uncles around the pool table, and that rooster just, he stole the show. I think Aram looked like he had the biggest grin on his face. Like, there's a damn rooster in the middle of this.
Yeah. Well, so you're originally from Blount County?
Not Blount, Knox County. I grew up in Powell.
All right.
Yeah, my folks.
I knew that.
Yeah, my mom's from Mississippi. My dad's from Memphis. They met in Memphis and then moved here shortly after they got married in '65. So, and I came along in '71 and grew up in Powell and went to Powell High School. And
so you and I are the same age.
Yeah. Class of '89, baby.
That's mine, yeah. 71. When's your birthday? Is it
August 16th?
Son of a bitch.
Mm-hmm.
August 18th.
Yep.
Yeah, so two Leos.
Well, and
that might have thought we needed to be Virgos. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty happy with the Leo. Who said you couldn't train a cat?
Yeah, there we go. But so and then I left. I went to college at Tennessee Tech in Cookeville, and then went into newspaper as soon as I got out. I worked for a little paper in McMinnville, Tennessee, the Sun News out of Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Drifted back and forth as, things in my life started to unravel and fall apart, and eventually came back here in '01 and went to work at the Daily Times, but didn't really get serious about the job for another year.
Yeah, well, that's what I was getting ready to ask. Was when you get back here in '01, where you did you get that job on those caveats of being the man for the weekend?
No, at the time they needed just a copy editor and a designer. I mean, so, and that's what I'd been doing in Myrtle Beach. I was an entertainment writer, stuff like that. But at that point, I had nothing, and had. And
I guess you had like the theaters and all the stuff over there,
stuff,
the tourist stuff.
Yeah. So, and I had nothing when I came back here. I just needed a job, and I wanted to stay in journalism. So they needed a copy editor and a designer. So I did that. And after about 3 months, the girl who was doing the weekend section, which, fun fact, was actually started by Paige Travis, Greg Horn's wife. Who works for the city of Knoxville
here the other day.
Yeah, so when she was a feature writer for the Daily Times. She's the one who started that publication back in '98. So But in 2001, the lady who had it, Karen, she moved away, and they said, do you know a little bit about entertainment and music journalism, don't you? I was like, a little bit. So they asked me to take it over, and man, it did that for the next, I left the Daily Times full time in 2018. And after that, they folded it in the regular paper. They killed it and folded it in. Yeah. I guess they just felt like, man, ain't nobody going to do as good a job as him. So.
Well, here. I remember coming up there to the office and doing a few interviews with you and sitting in the newsroom, if you will.
Yep.
And always, it was just it's always kind of interesting. You were just a straight shooter, and I really liked that about you, and I felt like that I was too. And just appreciate all the work you put in on my behalf, and all those different faces of Mike McGill with the Uncles, the Prophets, and the Romeos. It was a heck of a good time.
It was. And my whole philosophy with writing about music and entertainment is like, I got to interview a lot of famous people, a lot of cool people. Excuse me. Fun fact, I teach a journalism class over at Maryville College, and they've inevitably they ask me, who's the most famous person you interviewed? Well, I told them I interviewed Taylor Swift at one time, and man, you would have thought I'd been given an interview with Gandhi or Jesus or something. They lost their minds. And of course, I had to preface it. Look, she was 15 years old and opening up for Rodney Atkins and Tim McGraw. So, it wasn't like she was, yesterday. Yeah. So this was a long time ago. But the fact that I got the interview. But my whole philosophy was, you can pay $50, $75, $100, $200, man, and you can go to Thompson Bowling, Civic Coliseum, you name it, and you're going to have a good time. You're going to have fun.
Yeah.
You can pay $5 or you can pay shit. And you can go down here to the Corner Lounge or the Pilot Light or the Barley's or the Boyd's, and you're going to see somebody up close and personal that's going to be just as good, writing better songs, and you'll get to talk to them afterwards, and you're going to leave in there feeling like you have had a spiritual experience.
Yeah.
And that was my thing is, because so many people, they just dismiss it. Like, well, I ain't never heard of Mike McGill and the Refills. Man, you ain't got to. Just go check it out, because I promise you, go check that out, you're going to have a good time.
Take a fucking chance. Columbus did.
There we go.
He didn't even find a place and got a whole day named after him, for Christ's sakes.
That was my whole philosophy, man, was, I wanted to give as much ink and as much publicity to the local talent as I did any of the big people coming in.
It's funny you say Taylor Swift, because the other day, I think it might have been Bill Foster put something up on Facebook about everybody belly aching about them showing Taylor Swift on the ball games and on the Chiefs games. And of course, I had something to say about it. I normally don't. And it was nothing against her. I have no hate for the girl. I mean, she figured it out.
Oh, yes, she did.
Period. And good on her. But at any rate, I was just talking about it, and the Drunk Uncles opened up for Taylor Swift one time.
No shit.
Yeah.
When was this?
Well, she's 16.
Yeah.
And was it one of the I can't remember. I looked it up online, and it was I can't remember if it was Rockin' the Docks officially, then, or if it was Aquapalooza or something. It had some other name.
Yeah, down near Lenoir City.
Yeah, in Lenoir City, and they had, and at the time the stage was out on a floating. Yep. It was a floating stage.
Yep.
But yeah, she was just a baby. And came out there and played after us one night. Or that was one day, whatever it was.
That was back when she was doing like the Cotton Eye Joe circuit and things like that, man.
Yeah, she had that song about Tim McGraw.
Yeah.
I think it was called, it was named Tim McGraw, but at any rate, I always like to say that. And said,
that's awesome.
We've never heard of you. How, and you start talking to people, and, you tell them who you've opened for and who you've gotten to meet in your travels, and people are just gobstopped, like, really? Taylor Swift, Chris Stapleton, Sturgill Simpson?
Yeah.
But at any rate.
And that's the thing that I tried to communicate is all those folks started somewhere.
Oh, absolutely.
Chris Stapleton, he used to play the Shed with the Johnson Brothers. You go out there for $5 and see him at the indoor stage in the winter.
Played the pub several times.
Played the pub, the Avid Brothers, man. I interviewed them the first time they came to Knoxville, and that was the night they stomped a hole in the Prez Pub stage. That's still one of Scott West's claim to fame, is the Avid Brothers stomped a hole in the stage. So
as if he needs another one.
Yeah, exactly.
That sorry bastard.
We love you, Scott.
I hate you.
Yeah, he does.
No, I love you too, Scott. Just aggravating you. Speaking of, what was your favorite interview that you ever got to do?
Man,
you can't say me.
Yeah, I can't say you. So I interviewed a lot of folks, but man, I think the few times, and I interviewed him several times over the years, but I always had a blast talking with Billy Joe Shaver.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. The first time I interviewed him was not long after his son had died, and he was in a dark place, and he was real, you could just tell, man, he was kind of having something of an existential crisis.
Yeah.
But then about 3 or 4 years later, I had time to interview him. I called him up, and he was like, hey, hang on just a second. Darling, I got to take this interview. What's your name again? And then next time he told me the story about shooting that guy in the face down in Texas.
Yeah.
And, he was like, well, I didn't do anything except, put a hole where he's running that mouth. Yeah. He was just like, hell, I'm an old man. He's bigger than me. I ain't gonna let some young guy to beat the shit out of me.
Yeah. What was the line in court? He said, as being a Texan, and so I can't remember what it was, but it was something about, the judge said, why did you do this? And he said, well, Your Honor, as being a proud Texan and a native Texan or something of that nature. And him saying and acting and doing what he was doing about my wife at the time or the girl he was with. And then, he obviously a storyteller, right? And he said, I just asked him where he wanted it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What's hilarious is he told me, because Dale Watson wrote a song called Where Do You Want It?
Yeah.
And he called up Billy Joe and played it for him over the phone. He's like, damn it, Dale, I ain't even gone to trial yet, man. Just hold off and put that one out. So it was always a blast talking to Billy Joe Shaver. He was always a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Man, I loved...
He seemed genuine.
He was always genuine, man. He was always a good dude.
I got to meet him a couple of times.
Yeah, you guys. I think y'all opened for him out at the Shed a few times, didn't you?
Yeah.
So Billy Joe was great. But honestly, being trusted to tell the stories of local folks meant more to me than anything else. I mean, Scott Miller. He's sober now. He got sober back in like 2010, and he opened up to me and told me that story, man. I mean, he didn't spare any details. He talked about being up on 3E and Blunt Memorial Hospital.
Went on record.
Yeah,
wow,
went on record, and so that was just like there's big responsibility in that, man, because you don't want it to be a pity piece. Because there's nothing pitiful about it. I mean, it faces problems.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, we always used to get told about the, the whole, like we were talking about earlier before we started, the whole Hippie Jack story.
Yeah.
And sometimes Andy would get put out by it, and I understand. There's sometimes I got put out by it, but there's also those times that it's still your story.
Exactly. And that was the thing.
And you can tell it however you want, and you can look at it as, well, they can write a pity piece about it, or I can just tell them the truth and say what happened, But I mean, it's a lot different than
Yeah, but still,
life
it's just,
and sobriety and life-changing things. But
and with Scott, it was just one of those things, man. It's just one of those. I'll never forget the quote. He was talking about, he just got back from tour. It was around Christmas time, and he went down. It was in Rocky Hill, some bar in Rocky Hill, and he went down there, and he sat down and he started drinking, and he looked up at that wall of liquor behind the bar, and he was just like, there is not enough liquor in this place to kill what I'm feeling right now.
Yeah.
And that's when he realized, man, something got to change. Something got to change. And that, that's a powerful story, man. And to be able to tell that in a human way so that other people who read it go, holy shit. Yeah, maybe it causes them to do some self-reflection, or maybe it just inspires them to go out and buy a record because, they're like, hell yeah, man. That was just such an honor to be able to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. To be trusted with that. That's, I hate it sometimes when you're watching something or listening to something and they try to, like, somebody's getting ready to ask a question, and this is going to be a long way around to getting back to Scott and but they try to give. I don't know if they even know they're doing it, but they're almost giving the answer and basically telling you, the questionee, the person that's being asked the question, trying to lead you down the road they want you to lead. To me, it's just ask the fucking question.
Exactly.
Have a follow-up ready, and then the more that people are comfortable with you, know a little bit of your story as well, then you get those nuggets. Then you get those, and in this case, a blessing of being able to share something that's so deeply personal and meaningful to another human. I mean, that's got to be a really good feeling.
Oh, it is, man. And I think that kind of came about. And, Wayne Bledsoe's the same way. The friendships we develop with the musicians we write about lead us to be able to write these more meaningful stories. I mean, you and I have talked about that, but when you talked about going to Hawaii and, searching, trying to find some answers and get away and clear your head. I mean, you were always open because you trusted me to be able to tell it in a way that did you justice. So it became so much more than just about music. Yeah. And that was one of the things that, people, I wanted folks to understand. If I'm interviewing, who the hell ever big famous country star, they're basically reading off a script.
Yeah.
Whatever their publicist has told them to say, they're not going to deviate from it. They're not going to, unless you're somebody like Billy Joe Shaver or, somebody like Dolly Parton who, you ain't got to worry about that because whatever you're going to say what you're going to say. But most folks, they don't ever want to rock the boat or tell you something that might be a little human because they don't want to jeopardize the machine, man.
No, that's hell, you just wrapped up the music business in a nutshell. Everybody knows you're good, but then if you have somebody telling them you're good, they might listen then.
Yeah.
And talent is just a bonus if you got any.
Yeah.
Because that don't mean shit.
No.
And people, some of our listeners and fans would look at you when you say something like that and just be like, what? What do you mean? Well, exactly what Steve said. You have to go through so many hoops to and do so many certain things that they have you got to have this many followers, you got to have this many things, you got to do this many reels, you got to do this many stories, you got to do this, you got to have this, you got to have so many recordings, you got to have so much paperwork, you got to have so much or not paperwork but press, and then we just might let you play in our shitty club.
Yeah. And
maybe,
yeah. And it's all, and you get to a certain level, where you're beyond the clubs and you're on tour, and then it becomes like, okay, here's what the focus group thinks you're going to look best in. Here's your wardrobe for this tour. Here's this for this tour. Here's the radio station we're going to send you to talk to because we know they're friendly.
Who's the girl? The girl. I don't really like anything she does, but she's one of the big stars now. She was on Yellowstone.
Sunny Sweeney?
No,
not Sunny Sweeney.
It was another.
I can't remember.
Yeah,
she's got a song on a Dodge truck commercial. Lainey
Wilson.
Lainey Wilson. Yeah, got the big old butt. Good looking gal. Seen a side by side picture of her between 2 years ago and now she looks like Twiggy.
Mm-hmm.
Where'd it go? Because it ain't behind you no more. But my first thought of that wasn't, oh, good for her. She's lost weight, or she's working on herself, or she's feeling better about. No, first thought that I had by seeing it was, well, I guess Nashville got their way. Yeah. Because they said, no, you can't look like that.
Yep.
And be this. I mean, they tried to do it with Chris for years. And luckily for him, unfortunately, in the world that we live in, it is a man's world.
Yeah.
And it didn't carry as much weight as what she needed to look like and present herself as.
No pun intended.
In these, I mean, absolutely. But in these focus groups and all the people that know nothing about music, it's like taking a comedian and telling him he has to do this to have a sitcom.
Right.
It's like, but I'm the joke guy.
Yeah.
And you're who? Oh, you take care of Mr. So-and-so's stuff, and it's just like.
Well, it's like Jason Isbell, somebody, Morgan Wallen did Cover Me Up and had a big hit out of it and stuff like that. And, that's Jason's song. And, after that whole mess, he donated all the proceeds of his cut, his royalties for that. He donated it to Black Lives Matter after, Morgan, went through that whole mess with the whole, screaming.
Which you all don't know was a ton of money.
Yeah. Oh, a ton of money. And then I think as a little dig, I think it was, Morgan, took a picture of, the writing team for his triple album or something. And it's like a room full of 20 people. And Isbell came back and said, yeah, here's a writing team for my latest record. It was just him. That was it. So, and it's true. I mean, you look at a lot of the records coming out of Nashville these days, man, and just look at the writing credits. Yeah. 6-7 songwriters a song. It's just like, what? Oh, yeah. What the hell is this, man? This ain't a song. This is a prefabricated mobile home.
Hey, man, everybody's got to have a piece.
Yeah.
It's the music business. I mean, there's more. If your standard pie came in 8 slices in the music business, it's going to have 16 slices.
Yep.
Period.
Yep.
And a lot of them's going to be a lot bigger and a lot smaller than the equal cut of the pie, the equal slice. But
songwriters that write big hits by themselves got a lot of power. And they don't want to give up power at all.
No, they certainly don't. And if you think for anybody, if anybody thinks that this is something new, it's not.
Yeah,
it's always been a place to print money. Yep. It's always had. They've always had a status quo. There's always been a formula. That's why they have so many hits. That's why it's 10, 2, and 4. You know what I mean? That's why those guys can go to work and knock it out. They're that good with the players that can play all those session stuff. And it happens 7 days a week, And
what's even more fascinating is you look at it's a cycle, because every once in a while some folks will come along who kick down the door and do shit their way, like the Outlaws back in the 70s. But what happens? Well, they do it their way, and then Nashville realizes we can monetize this. Yeah. And the next thing you know, you got outlaw country has become commercial as everything else.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Every one of those, back in those days, every one of those guys, the only way they were able to do it was to leave. Mm-hmm. They had to leave. Haggard didn't record in Nashville. I mean, not very much. Willie and Waylon certainly didn't. Buck Owens never recorded in Nashville, that's going way back, but nonetheless, no, they didn't know what to do with Willie Nelson when he was in Nashville. Yep. They tried to clean him up, tried to dress him, make him sound a different way. They didn't know what to do with that. Roger Miller, prime example. They didn't know what the fuck was wrong with that guy. Other than the fact that he was a frustrated genius that couldn't get heard by anybody unless he was wearing a rhinestone suit, playing as a backup player and in somebody's band along the ways. But it's always been that way.
And I got such massive respect to the artists, the songwriters, the musicians who get to Nashville, and they may dip their toes in the water, but then they realize exactly, they got a separate water fountain for them, so they ain't gonna go. They ain't going, and they just say to hell with it, man. Folks like Guy Clark, John Hyatt, or those folks who stuck around, but not out of any sense of desperation to make it in Nashville. They're just gonna do their own thing. And Guy Clark was always, he was no bullshit. Every time I talked to him, he was just like, I don't, if they want to record one of my songs, they can ask me.
Yeah.
Like Fred Eaglesmith, for example, Miranda Lambert covered Time to Get a Gun. And, it went gold. Her version of it went gold. And he was telling me he was playing a Nashville gig and they showed up with his gold record. They were going to present it to him and, they were loading in for a gig. And he was like, I'm busy, guys. If you want, grab some amps and, help me load this shit in. And then we'll do this little picture thing. But I got things to do, man. I got to make a living.
I got a gig, baby.
Hey folks, if you're looking for a cool, eclectic place with an outside patio, plenty of UT sports games, cold beer, and live music on the weekends, then look no further than one of our homes away from home, Trailhead Beer Market, located at 1317 Island Home Avenue in South Knoxville, Tennessee. Trailhead is South Knoxville's first beer market, situated on the banks of the Tennessee River and in the backyard of the Urban Wilderness and Iams Nature Center. You can find more info on Facebook and Instagram about specials, live acts, and the goings-on, and be sure to tell them McGill and Jamie sent you, and have one more for the good guys.
That's crazy. That's crazy to think. I don't know. I never had any real... It's probably a good thing. I thought about it a few times, but I don't know. For whatever reason, there was nothing that actually ever really drove me to want to go or to try and do it.
I'm glad you did, man, because it would have been Knoxville's loss.
Yeah, well... I'd probably wound up dead somewhere, as wild as I was back then.
What?
I just know there's no fear. And then again, you look at it and through that lens and you think about the others, that's why they did make it, because they had no fear.
Mm-hmm.
So who knows? But I have no regrets on it.
Well, and I think that's what a lot of folks don't realize about the Knoxville scene is that you may not get the opportunity to sell a ton of records, man, but you're going as a musician, you're going to get some opportunities to do some really cool things. I mean, I think about the collaborations with you and Tim Lee, or you look at RB playing with Greg Horn, or just there's so many talented musicians in this town that I know you yourself be honored to share the stage with any number of them, just because it's just like, my God,
and have
so many opportunities.
There was a couple of years there that every Thursday night, that little. People would be like, why are you playing down there at that beer joint? And I'm like, well, first of all, it kind of saved my life. Second of all, is where I got my chops when it was just me and a guitar and a bunch of drunks in a bar. It was hand-to-hand combat. It made me, it helped make me even more so who I am today. But there was also a couple of years of it that RB, Tim, Daniel, Greg Horn, Brandon Fulson, Eric Keeble, Justin Nix, Andy. I mean, at any moment, any time, there'd be a dozen people in there that was good, if not better than I was. And I had no problem with sharing the mic. And a lot of times they would come just to play, just to have a Thursday night with nothing to do but free beer, free Schlitz beer, and play country music.
And I think that's what I've always loved most about the Knoxville scene is everybody in it is always of the mind that a rising tide lifts all boats.
Yeah.
This may not be my gig, but if I can help make Mike's gig even better by getting up there and playing a little bit or, hanging back and just adding some guitar or sharing, vocals on a duet or whatever, I'm going to do it because by God, it's fun. And again, a rising tide lifts all boats.
Yeah. That was something with the Uncles back in the day. We had basically three lead singers. And we all could sing parts, which was really nice and made it really kind of unique for what we were doing because, nobody was doing that around here locally, whether it was a cover or an original. But a lot, Jeff used to tell me all the time, we went in a recording studio one time and I had my control box there and it had all my mix and everything where my headphones plugged in and everything. And they had a thing that said ego, the ego knob, and I was just like, I don't have an ego, but when it's my fucking turn, you're going to fucking listen because, it's that old one jackass at a time. And right now I'm him. It's my turn, and I know what I'm going to do. I know what I'm going to do when you're singing your two songs. I know what I'm going to do when he's singing his two songs. And when it comes to mine, it's my job to be the best because it's my time. Yep. It's my turn. It's my time at the plate. It's my time at bat. And I never had a problem with I always wanted people to get and maybe to a fault sometimes. In certain fans' eyes, there's been that. Well, we'd rather hear more of you and less of the special guests, or shit like that. And it's like, well, that's not what this is about.
Yeah.
And that's not the way that's going to work, Giving somebody the opportunity to be able to play the Bijou stage is big for me. It's important to me because, I've been asked a few times, not near enough, if you ask me, but a few times I've been fortunate enough to do that. But there's a lot of folks that are good without even trying to have any kind of comparison or whether they're better than you or better than this one or that one, that are good enough to do it, that'll never get the opportunity to see things from that side of the microphone in a building like that. And if I can help people do that, then damn straight, that's exactly what I'm going to do.
Absolutely.
That's important to me as well.
That's one of the things I've always loved about your Christmas spectacular, man, is from the audience perspective, man, it looks like, just a big old party up there. You guys are having fun. The music's great. Everybody's having fun. But they don't see or understand the way you kind of curate that guest list every single year. You try not to have, obviously you've got some folks that you're like, well, I got to have this dude back or this girl back or whatever. But for the most part, you always try to think, who have I not tapped that would add to this and make it better?
We had 4 newbies this year.
Yeah,
on the show.
Nice.
Which was really good. We had Luke Brogdon and Matt Montgomery.
Yeah, Southern Cities boys.
Yeah, new guys.
Rodney Lee,
who helped start it and seen every year from the other side of the microphone, never seen it from the working side of the stick, you know. And that was important to me to be able to get to do that. Brendan James Wright was a newbie, and who's, you know, a jukebox of songs, been around forever.
Mm-hmm.
Was that Schwabi's first time?
And Sarah Schwabi.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, Schwabi flew in from Minneapolis.
That's awesome.
To come and do it. So it was really important. It was really special. This year was really good, and I kind of started looking at it as, instead of looking at it as the 11th year, let's look at it as the first year of the next 10.
Yeah, there we go.
You know, it's a start over. It's and we did a few things different, and I think the flow was better. I know the guys liked it better, and for the most part, everybody I've talked to, as far as the fans go, I've gotten nothing but, you know, positive feedback from that. And we raised more money this year than we've ever raised, so which was really tremendous.
And let me flip the tables, Mike, and you know, because I am still a rock and roll journalist at heart.
Sure.
How far in advance do you plan these things? Have you already started putting together in your head a sort of a tentative list for this year?
I booked a guest performer for for 2024 on December 2nd of 2023.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, there's no rhyme or reason to it. I guess there is a little bit to some degree, but for the most part, it's I'm a very I don't know. I think when things like that happen, they're always floating around, and you go, oh, that's there. Mm-hmm. Let me reach up there and grab that. And then you go with it.
Yeah.
So, and the guest that we booked was Jody Manross. How in the world have I not had Jody Manross on in 11 years? Somebody that's been around the scene and has paid the dues and worked as hard as anybody has for a long time, and is an amazing talent.
Yep.
You know, so yeah, I start thinking about it then, you know, I mean, but officially, you know, when everything really starts, when you put out the official invite or the official first, hey, welcome, here's why we're doing this, here's how we're going to do it, all that kind of thing, that's probably in end of September, early October.
There we go.
For the guests, and then they got plenty of time to start thinking about what they want to do. And I really try to challenge people to get outside their comfort zone, because we got a band that's good enough that can cover any genre. And they only have to wear one hat that night. All they have to do is perform. They don't have to lead the band. They don't have to. You know, they don't have to worry. They don't have to book it. They don't have to worry about the cost. They don't have to worry about the comp tickets or, oh, did I get Aunt Helen on the list? You know, you just have to come and have fun. It's Christmas.
Yep.
And nobody's going to ruin Christmas. Not tonight.
Yep.
You know, so. But speaking of, so there's something that you're a part of and have been a part of for a long time.
Yes, sir.
That's coming up very soon as well. With Waynestock.
Yep, it's coming up February 1st, 2nd, and 3rd at Relics Variety Theater in the old Happy Holler. It is Waynestock 12. We did the first one in 2011, and you guys the uncles were part of it.
Yeah.
That very first year, man. And it all started when Wayne Bledsoe unexpectedly lost his oldest son in 2010, that December. And it was just one of those things that those of you who've been around the scene a while know he lost his wife to cancer 10 years earlier. And so when he lost his son to a heart condition, I don't think anybody even knew he had, it was just one of those things we were just like, man, this guy already had his turn. This is not fair. This is, and Wayne has done so much for so many in this scene that, a bunch of us, just me and Tim and Susan.
Truly selfless.
Yeah, he is. He's selfless. And so me and Tim, Susan Lee, and Will Wright of Sinru and Mick Harrison and a couple other people got together and just said, you know what? Saying sorry is not enough. So let's do something. Let's put together a festival to raise some money for Wayne and his family. And we did that, and it was, that first year even, man, it took on a life of its own. I'll never forget, y'all closed down that first night or second night. I can't remember which one, but with, you had the knots up there.
Everything's going to be all right.
Yes.
Bob Marley.
Yep. Y'all had that. 3 little birds, man, and the knots were up there with you guys, and it was just, the house was packed, and I remember looking over at Wayne. I'm getting emotional thinking about it, man. I just remember looking over at Wayne and seeing tears streaming down his cheeks, and I was like, this is what this man needed. Yeah. This is what we needed.
Yeah.
As a community, because it was such a beautiful, beautiful time. And so many, everybody agreed. Nobody hesitated. Nobody asked for money.
No.
And so, we just continued to do it. And the next year we lost Phil Pollard. Yeah. And so, it was just like, it just kept going, man. It was just such an amazing thing. And then, we kept doing it over the years. And,
I've been a part of it with the uncles that first year. I'm glad you said that because I couldn't remember. And I'm just that guy too. I'm just horrible with,
it was that very first year, man, the uncles and the knots. And it was just, it was amazing. And then I know the Romeos have played it.
The Romeos have played it.
You've been a part of the finale.
Yeah.
So you've been a part of it a number of times.
I did the Old Death when the year Ralph died.
Yep.
That Tim asked me to do.
Yep.
That I didn't know if I was ever going to be able to get through because that was fucking emotional.
It was.
Holy cow. It was heavy. I told him at work where I seen him out one day and I said, man, I told Greg Korn this the other week when he was here, but every time I start to rehearse that song, I just would lose it. I just start bawling. I could never finish it.
You could hear a pin drop.
Yeah.
Drop, man. Everybody, it was just, your cover of that song, man, was so reverential that, there wasn't nobody at the bar. There wasn't nobody. And, Waynestock's a big part. It's a family reunion. Mm-hmm. Man, everybody just got stock still that night and just watched Mike on that stage.
It was pretty wild.
It was just like you could literally hear a pin drop while you sang that song. It was just unbelievable, man.
Yeah. And I didn't turn into a blubbering mess, which was good. Yeah. Which I don't think anybody would have said anything.
No, man, but just you nailed it. And we've had so many amazing performances like that over the years that are just magical. I'll never forget year 2, the finale of, Band of Humans, Phil's band. Yeah. And it was Band of Humans. Jack Renfro was on stage with his bullhorn because the Apocalypso Quartet played. Black Atticus was on stage because Theorist played. Dave Kane was on stage because King Super had played. And there was probably, easily 15 musicians, maybe 20 on that stage. And they were doing Phil's Land of the Living. And it was just one of those things that it was just like, this is why we do it, man. Yeah. If you've ever seen the Band of Humans do Land of the Living, but just to see them with all of these people who loved Phil up there celebrating his life, that was just powerful, man. And that happens every single year. Every single year at Waynestock, there's something like that.
Yeah. If you're, I think we might even try to get this one out before that to just maybe help promote it a little bit if that's something that's something that we can do.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
But yeah, if you're listening and you're thinking, what the hell are these guys talking about? Just is it still $5?
It's going to be $10 at the door.
$10 at
but
the door.
That also comes with a raffle ticket. You get $10 and you get a raffle ticket. And we've got like day passes to Big Ears Festival. We got passes to Southern Skies Festival. We got, Shed season passes.
You hear that, Chad Husky? You get you a Big Ears Festival pass.
Yep, there you go, man. Yes, and the raffle tickets are $5, $10 at the door night. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, February 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. Cruz Contreras, Dishwater Blonde is reuniting.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Those cats, I don't think they've played a show since like 2012, maybe. Mm-hmm. We got Dos Fuegos, we got Senru's coming back, we got Southern Cities. They're closing out night 1, so we got such a killer lineup. And then Bear, Beare. Sort of a new supergroup with Mike Armstrong at Lost and Found and Andrew Bryant. So members of Rectangle Shades and Limit 9 and stuff like that. They are curating the finale, which is an all-star tribute to the departed. And if you remember, man, we lost some big names in 2023. Harry Belafonte and Tina Turner. And I know a few of the things they're working on, but I'll let it be a surprise. Just know that it will be some of the most unexpected collaborations of the entire weekend. It is going to be phenomenal.
Nice. That's always fun when you get to stretch out. Cruz did a thing here just a little while ago with Elvis Snuggles with the Elvis thing and called me to do something, do a couple of Elvis tunes. And I thought, what the fuck? What Elvis tunes am I going to? I don't think I've ever covered an Elvis tune. I mean, not that I'm not a fan. I am completely, but so I was sitting here. I had me a highball and was listening to my little Bluetooth speaker, trying to figure out what I was going to do. And I'd play that one. I was, oh yeah, I like that one. I remember that one. I'll do that one. And then another one would come. Oh man, maybe I should do that one. Then by the time I got through one of the, double greatest hits album, I was like, well, there's 17 I want to do. I'm as confused now as I was before I started.
Which ones did you end up doing?
I wound up doing a pretty. I did an easy one and I did a real stretch one. I did Little Sister, and then I did It's Now or Never, and I'm glad I did. It was so much fun. Good. And it really gave me a chance to, it kind of put it, as I was trying to choose, I was thinking about what I tell everybody that comes to do the spectacular, go outside your comfort box, try to pick something, to challenge you or to just completely have fun with that you wouldn't get to do. And so those were the two I picked, and it was real good. All I had to worry about was singing, and it was perfect. So and they had a good turnout. I think we're going to have a video of that coming soon.
Good.
We might be able to share that with everybody too as well. That. So
that's awesome.
But another guy, charitable as hell, Aaron Snuggles.
I did a piece on him for Blank last month, and the guy's just got a heart the size of Knoxville. I mean,
he's the reason we're doing that. When we turn the spectacular into a benefit, he's the reason we picked
Second Harvest
with and particularly the Food for Kids program.
Yep. I mean, that cat is, if he can find a way to help, he's going to. And that servant's heart is so prevalent in Knoxville with so many folks. I mean, they're Knox expatriates living in Mississippi now, but you look at everything Tim and Susan Lee did. I mean, when Ricky Hall died, and they organized that Warren Zevon tribute to him for him, just the things that they've stepped up to do. I will put our music scene up against any other cities in this country. I don't care if it's Austin or, Chapel Hill or Athens, Georgia. I will put it up against any of them in terms of talent, in terms of heart, and in terms of just the sheer joy, man, that you get from seeing these local folks get on stage, man, and leave it all up there. It is just, man, I get chills thinking about it.
I would do the same, and that's something that aggravates me with it's something that aggravates me sometimes with our fans here, is that and not only just like just I don't want to say part-time fans, but not the ones that are seeing everything, but there's sometimes it gets a little it gets a little aggravating to hear everybody talk about everything else and not talking about what's going on here.
Yep.
There's been instances that, somebody was coming through and they want you to do something with this guy, and then, or this act, I shouldn't say guy, but with this act, and you go, or you start hearing about it, and then, it's not that you want to be, it's not that you want to go over, or you want to be put over this act, or that you want to be, but this is our fucking town.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
absolutely.
I don't know how the best way to project that, but sure, you want to be on a bill with somebody that's up and coming, or somebody that's making some noise or making some waves, but it's not because we're not good enough. I don't know the right way, I don't know how to say, but at any rate, I would put it up against any other scene as well. But
for me, it's always, I look at the legacy of bands that are just not even around anymore. And, even that, we got a graveyard full of bands that are no longer part of the scene that, I'd still stack up against any other town's, former bands, I mean, you look at folks like Dixie Dirt, for example. My God, I love that band.
Yeah.
The Uncles, just you name it, man. There's been so many, Tim Lee 3, so many that have come and gone, and Andy's old band Speed Shifter. I loved Speed Shifter. I mean, those cats, they were crazy. I mean, the Rouge Street Peters.
Oh my God!
I mean, just so many bands that have come out of Knoxville that you're just like, I mean, a lot of times you don't think of them for years, and then somebody brings up like the Rouge Street Peters, you're like, holy shit. Yeah. The Peters. Yeah. Those guys.
Oh, man, yeah. I remember one of the first shows. So those guys were big bluegrass fans.
Oh, hell.
Yeah. Steve and his brother Mike. Yep. Steve's passed away.
Yeah.
But Steve and his brother Mike were big bluegrass fans, and we got to meet them back in the day while playing bluegrass music, and they became big fans of the group I was in, and just ask us forever, come to the show, come to one of our shows, you'll fucking love it, man. You'll have so much good time. It's rock and roll. It's blah 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 blah. And so one night, lo and behold, the timing was like, oh, look up there, Rouge Street Peters, we should go. So I took myself, and I had this old boy that played banjo with me at the time, Floyd Bailey from up in Maryville. And Floyd looked like a real life version of Bluto from Popeye. Big dude, big old hands, sausage fingers, But man, what a banjo player. And his nephew at the time was with him, and Ed. Floyd was from Maynardville, and Ed was from like Black Fox on up in Washburn. I mean, way up there, man. And we're going to a Rouge Street Peters show, and I'm like, well, this could go really good, or it could go really bad. I'm not sure which way it's going to go. But we wound up at the Pilot Light, and they were playing down there one night. Of course, it's asshole to elbow and packed, and cheap beer, and the mosh pit breaks out, and I just remember looking at Floyd, and I just remember looking at him, and his eyes were just like, what the fuck is wrong with these people? And then I looked at Ed, and Ed had the same look in his eyes. And then Ed looked at me, who was just a junior version of, he's a big, strong country guy too, He's like, one of them son bitches does that to me, and I'm whooping somebody's ass in here tonight. And I'm like, oh no, we gotta go. Because it's inevitably it's going to happen.
Yeah, oh yeah. It's the Rude Street Peter show.
Yeah. But yeah, at any rate, that's my, but those guys were, they were something else.
They were a force of nature, man.
Yeah. But, Tim and Susan, I got to meet them. Red and MD used to have a New Year's Day party every year for 20-something years. And I got to meet so many people back then by going to that party. And then through the years, it was maybe the only time I would see certain amounts of those people would be at this party every year, because, they were from out of town, or B, maybe they weren't completely in the same circle, or maybe our circles touched, but not enough to see them on an occasion, but I met Tim and Susan there, and then started seeing some of their shows. But man, we lost some good ones when they moved away.
Oh my God, yeah, it was a big blow. I mean, we debated whether or not to continue Waynestock actually when they left, because they were just such an integral part of it. I mean, Tim was a stage manager, Susan did all our graphics. Yeah. I mean, they were just, and we didn't for a long time. Well, because of COVID, but then, Wayne lost his other son, Rylan.
Yeah.
And at that point, when we came out of COVID, we're like, we can't not do it, man. I mean, this guy. So again, it's just become it's a family reunion. It's a showcase of Knoxville music, and it's healing. Because
it is.
People need it.
It is. And it's really too at a good time of year.
Yep.
I mean, it's always cold as balls, but just going, you're going to run into so many people and see so many people and have such a good time and talk about things and from the past, a lot of stuff from the past that you've forgotten. That, maybe brings back a chuckle or a really hard belly laugh to think about those days again. And then you get to hear some of the young ones too.
Oh, absolutely.
That are coming up and doing it, So
be a good time.
Again, February 1st, 2nd, and 3rd.
Relics Variety Theater, $10 at the door each night, and it benefits some really good people, Karen Reynolds and Dennis Double.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, both of them are struggling with some health problems. And,
Great. Yeah.
So all proceeds will be divided evenly between the two of them.
We went and sang carols for Dennis and Tammy, and it came. The idea actually came from Karen.
Yep.
She got a hold of me, and she's like, and I don't know why I hold the bat signal, but she was like, put out the bat signal. We got to have, and told me what it was for. And man, Dennis is such a music lover and such a big part of supporter. And then Karen obviously is not only an entertainer and an artist, but she's also been a huge supporter too,
and a mentor to so many young songwriters
with the writer's block, and then mentorship with writing and knowing how to get your licenses and everything right. So that's good. That warms my heart to see that it's going for them.
Yeah, those are our two beneficiaries, brother.
Well, I will definitely be there one night or the other, or maybe all of them. Who knows?
I hope to see you there, man.
Well, you always do. So
yeah, one way or the other, brother.
I always get a. Oh my goodness! Look here, old Frisky Whiskers made it.
Frisky Whiskers, that's right. I gave you that name. I don't remember how long ago it's been, but yeah. I think it works. Frisky Whiskers.
Well, I can't stand it. But other than that, it's okay too. You can't pick your own nickname, so I'm good with it. All right.
Shit, man.
Well, you know, I guess you learned more of your chops by being in the deep end over there in Myrtle Beach with interviews and writing and coverage and stuff. Did you have any mentors to you in that era, and or once you got to Knoxville? Was there any collaboration there that, you know, maybe you thought you knew, but then there was so much more to know?
I learned a lot just by reading other good writers, man.
Okay,
and,
right.
You know, when I didn't know it. I met Wayne a couple times early on, but you know, Wayne was always one of those guys that I looked up to. I'd never tell him that, so edit this shit out. But you know, I'd look at the way he interviewed folks, and got him to open up, and the way he crafted
there's
stories.
An angle to work here.
Yeah.
Crafted stories about the local scene, man. It was, you know, it was a thing to aspire to, and eventually we had this sort of friendly rivalry going.
Yeah,
you know, who you writing about this week? I'm writing about this person. God damn it, I didn't get them. Or he'd ask me, how many stories you got this week? I got like 10 stories. He goes, I'm gonna come up here and break your damn fingers. You know, so it went back and forth like that. We just became really good friends, but we give each other so much shit that people question sometimes whether we actually like one another.
That's good. And always keep them guessing.
Keep them guessing.
Yeah. Hello, music lovers. Campbell's Music Room Guitars was opened and founded by our longtime friend Kyle Campbell back in 2017. If you're a beginner or a seasoned pro, you're always needing something. From strings, picks, or maybe a repair to your trusty instrument. Campbell's Music Room Guitars has a full line of all the stringed instruments. New and pre-owned, accessories, pedals, amplifiers, and here's the best part. It's a local, family-owned business where you will get the very best of sales and service from the owner himself. Campbell's Music Room Guitars has something for everyone. Did we mention that he also gives private lessons? Kyle is one of Knoxville's most multi-talented players and teachers with many years of professional teaching experience. Located at 5103 Kingston Pike, open Tuesday through Saturday, 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Give Kyle a call at 865-584-0041 or stop by and tell him McGill and Jamie sent you and you wanted to have one more for the good guys. There, you know, somebody would ask me where Andy was at, and I'd say, who cares? We didn't bringing him up. I was having a great night, you know. And I'll tell you a real funny story. Have I told this on here before about Cindy Lou?
I don't think so.
I don't think I'd even told her that night that she was on the podcast. I should have. If I'd remembered it, I would have. But so Cindy came to me one time, or maybe I was getting my hair cut or something. I don't remember what it was, but she was like, listen, or maybe she went to Andy. I can't remember how it was. Nonetheless, we were talked to by Cindy, and she said, I think maybe she did. Maybe she seen Andy. Maybe she talked to him first, and he called me, and he said, you ain't gonna believe this. I said, what's going on? He said, well, Cindy talked to me the other day, and she told me that she was very upset and didn't understand why we were on the outs, and why each other, every time somebody out and about would ask something about one or the other of us, one or the other, myself or Andy, had something negative to say about the other. And she gave us Merle Haggard tickets and wants us to go to Cherokee, where we ran into you.
That's right.
To mend the fences and to make sure that we were going to be okay. And I was like, ah, damn, we fooled them again. So we went and seen Haggard, which was phenomenal. Ran into Jamie over there, who I hadn't seen in years. But at any rate, I know exactly what you're talking about with Wayne, and he's a good ping pong player because he's going to volley it right back.
Oh, absolutely, man. That was one of our most infamous moments was in 2012 when we Will Wright back.
Okay, I was going to ask about this.
Yes, Will Wright of Senru, who is a fantastic contemporary classical composer, can play just about damn anything. He had his rap persona, a little iffy, and they were doing a hip hop show at the Pilot Light as a fundraiser, and they're like, "Hey Ben, let's get you and Wayne to do a rap battle." And we put that together on stage, and I'm surprised nobody called the cops for violation of obscenity laws because it was the most righteous filth you can imagine. He came at it that, I don't know how obscene I can get on your podcast.
You say anything you want.
Well, I think his classic line was, I'll never forget it. They call him bad motherfucker way back in the hood because he really fucked his mother and he wasn't any good. And I think mine to him was, what was it? Oh, it was, his clothes are musty. His rhymes are rusty. He's Knoxville's answer to Jerry Sandusky.
Oh, no.
So it was no holds barred, man. Just so 3 rounds of brutal insults and filth. And
that's great.
Yeah, but I'll never forget at the end of the night, Jason Boardman, the proprietor of the Pilot Light.
Yeah.
We were clearing out, getting ready to leave, and he's just sitting there at the bar, man. I'm like, you okay? He's holding his head in his hands. He's like, I can't believe that. I can't believe that actually worked, I guess, because I don't know what they thought, but we raised a ton of money for the Pilot Light. He was just like so many people in shock that, 2 guys who can't sing or perform could get on stage and insult each other so brutally, hug it out afterwards, and raise so much money for the venue. It was amazing.
No, that's awesome, man. That's incredible. Well, friendships are hard to come by when they're, especially when they're real and they're true. So, and you, as well as Wayne, has always been a good friend. Now you've got you got a boy and a girl?
I got 2 boys. One from my first marriage who is 18, and then I got
shit! Yeah, I didn't realize he was that old now.
18.
Yeah.
He just finished high school last month, and then I got a 10-year-old and a 6-year-old.
Okay,
so who will not be listening to this until we're older, but that's all right. But yeah, they're a handful, man, but they keep me young. So.
Well, how's things in Dad world? How's it?
They're good, man.
Yeah.
It's my son. My 10-year-old is obsessed with football at the moment, and he can tell you just about anything about any NFL team from, the guy has just got a head for stats. And so he's got all of that stuff. And then my daughter is absolutely 100% feral. I came home the other day and she was buck ass naked and had taken magic marker and painted tiger stripes up and down her entire body. I mean, from head to toe. And I was just, okay, well, what are we doing here? I'm a tiger. Well, no shit, you are. So
you're great.
Exactly. So she's a trip, man. It's always something new, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah. It's man, kids.
Yeah.
I remember.
And you're a papa, ain't you?
Fuck. Yeah.
How many grandkids you got?
You've always annoyed me, but now it's really coming to fruition. I have a daughter, Hannah.
Mm-hmm.
And but I have Ella, who's the oldest. She's 7, going on at 32. And Paisley is 5, going on 31. And then Calvin, little boy, who is he'll be turning 3. I guess he's 2. He'll be 3, and I think it's October. But yeah, what the fuck?
Oh man, tell me about it.
I just did. To hear the sigh and the loud. I mean,
what the fuck?
If I'd had any more ice in my drink, you'd heard it clinking right now. I'm so nervous just even thinking about it. No, they're great. It's just it's so funny. It's hard to figure out you're not dad, that you're granddad, because I'm just kind of that guy anyway. It is hard to, and this with having an 18-year-old as of now, that there's a certain amount of things you got to let them do and figure it out, because you're old, you're stupid, and you don't know nothing.
Yep. Oh,
and and so you could tell them, now listen, you see that bag laying there? It is full of fucking rattlesnakes. And if you go over and pick it up, you're going to die, because every one of them is going to bite you. Well, guess what happens?
They're going to pick up that damn bag.
First fucking thing they're going to do is walk over there and pick up that bag.
Yeah.
Now, if you said, oh, yeah, it's just an old bag of rattlesnakes, no big deal, and you walked on, they never go over and look at it. They never go touch it. They wouldn't give it a second minute's thought. So there's a lot of that.
Yeah.
Of being not so much of being I guess with being a granddad too, because you can take a little bit different approach of teaching or showing or talking, but it's just being a dad. There's still a lot of that. Of, well, they'll figure it out. So that can be frustrating at times. And then at other times, at the end of the day, it's pretty rewarding to, you don't care how they see the light bulb come on, just as long as they see it come on, and figure things out. So, but they're great. They got to come to the Bijou for the spectacular this year, and we're leaving, and they were leaving during the show, and the little one, Calvin, who, by the way, could, if there ever is a comeback for the greased pig pole climbing contest, that little bastard will win it. Hands down. Mama's boy in the 5th, all caps. Put everything you got on him. That's all I'm saying, because he'll climb that damn pole. He can climb anything. But the entire night, my daughter was telling me, she said he just kept trying to get to the stage. Pardon me. And so they were standing at the back of the stage, off to the wing, behind the curtains where nobody could see them. And I was in a section where I was talking to the audience, and I just seen them at the corner of my eye, and they were waving.
They were leaving.
Yeah, they were leaving, and I waved, and the little one got away.
Oh.
And he was coming. And of course, I seen them going after him, and I just went, I just motioned to him to come on out. Just let him come out there. Hell, he's been trying to get there all night. So that was a pretty special moment to have him come out like that. Man. But so my oldest nephew was hadn't been married too long, and my mother asked him one day while he was up here, she said, are you all going to have children? And he said, well, in due time, he said, we're trying to maybe stick to like a 5-year plan, and then we're going to think about having kids, but we do want kids. Now, why do you ask, Granny? And Granny's reply was, because I'd tell you not to. And he says, well, why is that? And my mom, and you all who've never met my mother will get the sense of humor of where I get it from, said to him, because it'll be like a big chicken pecking at you for the rest of your life.
I love that. Oh, shit. That's awesome.
So, well, what's your oldest boy going to do? So you got a clue?
He's still figuring it out,
that's
man.
Good.
Still figuring it out.
I mean, I certainly didn't know what the hell I wanted to do.
He's working, and he's got some options. And I got a good friend of mine who owns a plumbing company. He's going to put him to work as an apprentice.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Yeah, so I think that'll be good for him. And see if, because shit, he told him, man, you can make a career out of this.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
AI's not going to take the place of plumbers.
Nope, it sure ain't.
That's exactly right. One of our biggest sponsors this year for the Christmas show was Buckner Plumbing.
Mm-hmm.
And I met them at Jimmy's back in the day.
Yep.
Wrote a song with Randy. Super nice guy, but has a very successful business, and actually went to the local and got them to donate this year as well.
That's awesome.
So
yeah,
we'll try to have all those official numbers for everybody here. Was going to have them by Friday of last week, but the Snowmageddon got in the way.
Yeah, so kind of threw everything off.
Storm of the century.
Yeah.
Yeah, we hadn't had a storm like that in quite a while.
95.
I can't remember anything with that much snow. We got 11.5 inches here.
It was nuts, man. Yeah, it was. We didn't get that much down in Blount County, but it was still bad enough. I mean, they closed Maryville College for 4 days, and they hadn't done that since, well, going back to the 80s, because the blizzard 93 hit during spring break, so they didn't have to cancel any classes.
Mm-hmm.
So they ain't done. I mean, it's been decades since they canceled classes for more than a few. They canceled for 3 days for the big snowstorm in 96, but other than that, they ain't done. It just, it messed a lot of folks up.
Yeah. So during the time that the Daily Times was winding down, mm-hmm. You started working in recovery.
I did. I was worked in the marketing department at Cornerstone Recovery. It was a treatment center out in Blount County, and it was there about 3 years, and then about 3.5 years, and then they got bought out by another company, and that company had its own marketing department already. So they're like, well, we can save some money here and eliminate some redundancy. So I got laid off, and then wound up over at Maryville College, where work in marketing communications and teach the journalism course and advise the student newspaper. And so I just love it, man. I don't do a whole lot of journalism these days, but I do get to write for Blank newspaper.
Right.
Rusty Odom's little rag.
Who still needs to come up here.
Yeah, he does.
It doesn't matter if I book it a year or 2 years in advance. He can't ever give me a fucking answer. That's right, Rusty. I hope you listen to it. Sorry, shit.
So I get to write something for Rusty, and so I still get to do that, and I'm still plugged in. Waynestock helps that. And I'm just a blessed man, Mike.
Well, how do you see, obviously we got all these days, and I'm sure all the days before of every other generation, these damn kids. How is the status of the young ones in your world as an instructor, as a teacher? Are we
They're good kids. Everybody, it's funny. Everybody thinks that, colleges these days are indoctrinating kids. And I'm just like, have you ever tried to get an 18-year-old to do anything, much less think like you?
Right.
No, man, they ask smart questions. They're good critical thinkers. And then, I looked at the local scene, and in the local media, you got the young bands like Connor Kelly and the Time Warp are, they're kicking it. And I mean, Willa May, who is Sean and Steph's daughter from the Lone Tones. Mm-hmm. I mean, she's got a great sort of indie folk career thing going. There's a lot of young talent out there that's really, really good. And Yeah, we're gonna be all right. I mean, our folks worried about the future when we were coming up, man. Thought it was the end of the fucking world, and
so I tried to tell everybody, it's like, you were a dumb kid once.
Yep.
Your mom and dad was dumb kids once. Their grandfather and grandmother were dumb kids once. They don't stop making them.
Yep.
You don't come into this world knowing everything. You think you do. But all boys got brain damage till at least 28. That's the way that goes.
Yeah.
That's the way that goes. We're all boys, so we know that's true.
Yeah.
But no, well, that's good to hear. I mean, do you find any? Had you taught before? Is that something? Were you nervous? Were you like afraid you would misspell your name on the blackboard? Or
no, I guess the only fear I had was using too many obscenities. But even that, I managed to keep it under control. But no, I just looked at it like anything else, man. It's just an opportunity. It ain't nothing to be scared of. It's just like, all right. I learned a long time ago, Mike, that, whether it comes to teaching or building a damn house, the people who do those things professionally ain't necessarily smarter than me. They just know more than me. So the only way I'm going to learn and I'm going to gain that knowledge is through experience.
Okay.
So I'm going to jump in and, give it my best and,
Well, that's a great outlook.
Yeah.
Are you learning anything from them?
Yeah. Oh, gosh, absolutely, man. Now,
that's the part I'm interested in, because that's the encouraging thing, I think, about working with young people.
They're all, some more than others now. Some are still figuring shit out. But, man, a lot of them are just really passionate about, wanting to, not do great things, but just do the right things.
Right.
They stand up for one another. They look out for one another. It's an amazing thing to watch and be a part of, man. It's to see the unity there and the fact. And then, granted, Maryville College may be different, but it ain't a huge campus like the University of Tennessee. But I mean,
it's a campus nonetheless.
It's a college campus,
nonetheless,
man. And so you've got your ones who are just doing the work to get by, get out, get a degree, go and make some money. But then every once in a while you see some that are just coming along and like, this kid's going to be coming back here 20 years from now, getting involved in the Alumni Association because they're invested in life. And so it's a beautiful thing to watch.
That's good. That's encouraging. Well, that's good. I'm always amazed when I'm able to find a younger person that I always put it like that younger person, and not necessarily as a student, but just the younger sat of if you can sit and have a conversation or a drink or whatever and enjoy the time that you're there having that with said youngster, regardless of, and not trying to, see into any of their ideology or, just that you can just get along with and have an adult conversation with. And it's always, when you're able to do that, for me, you come away from that feeling so much better.
And for me,
I do.
Yeah, absolutely. And for me, my whole philosophy was, I'm not going to talk down to you like I'm the professor, I'm the teacher, and you are the student. It's like, look, because I was straight up with my first semester. I've never taught a course in my life. I don't know a whole lot about teaching, but I do know a whole lot about journalism, and I would like to share that knowledge with you. So that's kind of how I went about it. Not like I'm going to teach you things. Like I'm going to share what I know, and hopefully, one of the best. It gave me the warm fuzzies all over. I was checking with one of the students about 3 or 4 months into the semester and was asking if some of the feedback I'd given him, if it made sense to him. He kind of stopped looking at me. Is you kidding? You're helping me be a better writer. And I was just like, oh shit, I'm doing what I need to do then. That is all that matters. It ain't about, imparting wisdom or anything like that. It's just helping them
absolutely
become the better versions of themselves that they can be.
Absolutely. People don't realize too, on a college campus, regardless of whether it's a private college or a state-run university or a tech or an ag or what the hell ever, that and something that I learned in my first year in school was there's a large percentage of your instructors, professors, teachers, blah, 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 who don't give a shit.
Oh, man.
They don't care if you come to class.
Most.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They don't care if you missed your makeup work or my dog ate my homework. All right. So knowing that that's the MO, which I wouldn't have thought would be any other MO of yours, unless you were, had a course on teaching them how to make up new curse words. But
that's the next semester.
201 class.
Oh yeah, and I love it. But at any rate, I was getting ready to get off topic, but that's encouraging as well. And I'm sure that's encouraging to those students that make them want to work a little harder or to show up on time, not miss things. That makes it different from Journalism 101 from, the other classes or things like that. So that's got to be very rewarding.
It is, man. It's one of the best. Like I said, I never envisioned myself teaching, but now I'm just like, I love it. It's, it ain't necessarily going to mean I'm going to change professions, but if I could pick up a class here and there and help out, then, I look at it as investing. I'm
sure
not just in them, but in the world, because anything I can do to help them be better people, mm-hmm. better writers, better human beings, whatever, man, that's going to pay dividends for us all.
It cannot be overstated. And I'm somebody that has over probably 250 credit hours of college. Okay. 3 degrees. And having somebody that's in the field that you want to be in, that comes in like you, that isn't an instructor, that has a passion for that business, is so much more valuable than having somebody read out of a book and throw tests at you, because passion like that is addictive. You see what I'm saying? And if you, like all those instructors I had, just like you said, most of them were worthless as hell. I mean, waste of time, waste of money. But there are those few that you run into, three or four, that make all the difference. And in this country, we're lacking real world experience in the classroom. And that having somebody like you there, is you can't it's priceless. I mean, it really is, because I had a couple of instructors like that over the years that had been, well, like in music, they had been working musicians or were musicians, and they just had a mentoring nature about it, about themselves. They loved what they did.
Well, they've been there.
Yeah. And it showed, And then, like in the logistics program, at one time UT was one of the top logistics programs at that time, the top. And I don't know if it is now or not, but most of the instructors just going through the motions. Here's this, we're going to do this, but then you had that one guy, that had his own railroad line and worked in this and came in jeans and and just talked to you like you're an equal.
Exactly.
And that's a big deal. It's like, people ask me all the time, should I go to college? And I'm like, well, let me answer it this way. If I had to do it all over again, I would not have gone, because 95% of it was worthless. But sometimes I think, well, yeah, but that 5%, could I got that on the street? Maybe not, but it's that what you're doing, and people like you in quote unquote higher education is absolutely a necessity. That joke about people that, teach or however it goes,
those who can't teach.
Yeah. Or those that can't teach or whatever, and that's horseshit, or it should be, putting people in those positions that have real world experience. Because basically everything I learned in college, except for that much, never used it again. Yeah. Never heard of it again. Didn't apply in anything I've ever done. So having people like you out there is a big, big plus.
Whether you want to listen to it, or you don't, that's up to you. But just having somebody tell you where the bear shit hits the buckwheat is worth it. Because that's life. #adult life. You know what I'm saying? And that may be well received. It may not. But that in itself should be enough to let anybody know that you care.
That's the key.
Because you are telling them why. Or maybe not even why, but you're telling them that it happens, and then we can work on the whys and why it doesn't have to be that way, or different angles of attacks.
And just for me, it was just it was helping them understand that they set their own bar, and
right.
If you're going to turn something into me that I know you can do better than, I'm going to point that out. I'm not going to be like, well, okay, that's a C. I'm going to point out that, look, you're better than this. I know you're better than this. So what's good? How can we go back to, how can we make this better together? Help me understand. Did I not explain it well? Was it something that, about this particular essay that my instructions fell through the cracks or whatever? Yeah. So, because I know you can produce something better than this. So help me figure out how to help you.
Well, and just in that regard, just knowing that you've got a traditional way and you've got a non-traditional way of teaching, and you're open to either or because you have to be, because each kid is different. I failed geometry, but I fucking built this. I still couldn't tell you what a goddamn isosceles triangle is.
Exactly.
But I know plumb, I know level, I know math, I know what works. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And one of the biggest reasons, God rest her soul, and I'm not even going to mention a name, but one of the biggest reasons that I failed again, or that I only passed probably because I was a nice kid, honestly, was because I had to take the same teacher again.
I was the only one they had.
Right. and it was like, but she explained it to student A and student B the same way she was trying to explain it to me, and I was student C, and I still wasn't getting it.
Well,
so there had to be a different way of.
And I had the same experience with this. Right? I'm not going to name names either, but that was I've had every math class you can take, okay, all the way through college. And that was the hardest one because of the approach. Yeah. Because as a person, everybody loved her.
Mm-hmm.
I did. She was sweet and kind, and I mean, her daughter went to school with us,
yeah.
But I just didn't and really, as far as math goes, outside of arithmetic, you use geometry more than anything else in real life.
Pretty much.
Look here. Like I said, you built this thing.
Yeah. I mean, there's triangles, there's rectangles, there's squares,
and if I hadn't had, my buddy, Angie Bugner, help me, I'd I'd have done poorly. Because it was the approach, and that's a good example. Obviously, you don't know what we're talking about, but still,
I get.
It was, hey, this is how it is, and it was very. I'll think of the word in a minute. Abstract teaching. It's like, why are we doing these proofs?
Traditional and non-traditional.
Yeah, and.
Same way with life of trying to convince a kid that you got to have a traditional job.
Yep. I didn't fail, but I thought a couple of times I thought, hell, fire, man, this is harder.
Oh yeah,
it should be.
I just tuned it out at one point or another.
Yeah.
Hey, good guys and good gals alike. If you're looking for somewhere to go to get your hair did, then look no further than the Chop Shop Hair Studio. Our longtime friend and supporter, Cindy Lou, opened this spot located in Knoxville's very own Happy Holler back in 2010. Chop Shop Hair Studio offers a variety of services, including facial waxing, accessories, tools, and a complete line of men's and women's products, along with essential oils. A lover and supporter of the musical arts here locally and abroad, Cindy has a small stage with stringed instruments and offers discounts to guests if they are willing to play and or sing a song. The Chop Shop Hair Studio is a little bit country, a little bit rock and roll, and 100% pure style, just like our dear friend and owner, Cindy Lou. The hours are Tuesday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., Saturdays, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. You can also visit thechopshophairstudio.com and or call 865-525-4240 to book your next visit to go and get your hair did. Located at 1206 North Central Street, Knoxville, Tennessee, Chop Shop Hair Studios. Stop by and tell them McGill and Jamie sent you to have one more for the good guys.
I was thinking about while you were talking about teaching and journalism specifically, and we talk about this in music, and the advent of AI and all this stuff. Having if I can picture myself as a new student in 18 to 20 or 22 years old, I'd be concerned about journalism because,
absolutely,
obviously when we were kids, we're all within 3 or 4 years of each other. In Knoxville, we had 2 papers, one in the morning, one in the evening. And, printed publication was it. And now, thanks to the internet and thanks to instant news, all of that is obviously in 49 years, 50 years, completely changed.
Yep. So
is that something that students are concerned about?
One of the things that, because I mistakenly assumed that because they're young and they're hip to technology in a way that, I think our generation, we could deal pretty well. I mean, my mama, God love her, before she died, I got her a new laptop so she could send emails, and she couldn't even figure that out. So, we kind of evolved with it. But I figured these young kids, man, they were all up on this AI and everything. Surprisingly, every single one of them was like, I don't trust it. No, I'm good. So I was like, really? Because that's been a big conversation in higher ed. Are, using our students using ChatGPT to write their papers? Are they using AI to write, dissertations? And to every single, and it wasn't a big class, and we have to keep in mind that there is no journalism degree at Maryville College. There's a writing communication degree. Journalism is just a course within that, so none of them were they're very wary of AI, but the point stands, and we talk a lot about it. I mean, and classic case in point, look what happened to Pitchfork. That great online music publication. being folded into Condé Nast and now going to be in the pages of GQ. Look what happened to Sports Illustrated. They went in last week and laid off their entire editorial staff.
Hey, tell me, go ahead and finish your thought, but I want to double back on that.
Yeah, so I mean, we're saying a lot of that is because a lot of these sports, there's been a lot of talk lately about how Sports Illustrated, the quality's kind of gone down because they're using AI.
Well, and
really,
in our era, they were it.
Yep.
But now there is no news.
Yep.
It's instant. And I have spent I write too. Okay.
Well, it's the same. Just real quick, let me jump in. It's the news now for sports, especially. For any of it. As well as for the world news or the nightly news or the local news, is all more or less opinion pieces.
Editorials.
Go ahead. Sorry.
And yeah, we've talked about that too. As we growing up, what Cronkite said was the fact.
Mm-hmm.
And
you trusted him.
And even in the papers, most of the articles, these are facts that were reporting the facts. And then the editorial section were the opinion pieces. And I got a good friend of mine that we talked about this at length. And he said, well, what, in my opinion, he used to be in publishing too. He said, at the Metropulse, you probably know John Wright.
Yeah.
Yeah. We go way back, good buddy. And we were talking about, he said, in my opinion, it's when they went to 24-hour news, there's still not 24 hours worth of news. So they had to fill that space. You can only talk about the home runs that got hit so often, So, and I have spent, what I was saying is I write myself, and I've spent a lot of time playing around with that AI stuff. And it's got a lot of holes in it, a lot of weaknesses, and you just about have to be a programmer now to get exactly what you want out of it. Now, 5 years from now, so, and writing is the low hanging fruit because it can produce text, it can fish the internet and print out something, and obviously you can program it to be grammatically correct or to whatever, and punctuation's correct, spelling obviously, because I've noticed a lot. I read a lot. You mentioned that, but I've noticed in the last 3 or 4 years mostly, I'll catch spelling errors in almost everything I see.
Yeah, lots of times.
And I'm like, did you not see that? And I think that it's a combination of they got to put out so much content. And
is that one of your jobs as an editor? Was to catch those types of things
as a copy editor? Yeah. Absolutely. And the other thing we've seeing is that the copy editors are no more. That's
what I was getting ready. Yeah.
You look at the New Sentinel, that big building.
Yeah.
Used to be full of employees. Man, it is a ghost town now.
Yeah.
It sits up there on the hill. And, the newsroom is about a third of the size of where it was. The Daily Times, when I went to work there in 2001, there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There were 8 copy editors and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 12 reporters, counting the sports, 13 counting the sports staff. And then we had 2 full-time and 2 part-time photographers. Today, they've got 4 reporters.
Wow.
And it ain't like Blount County shrunk.
Right.
If anything, it's gotten bigger. So to go from 13 reporters covering a county of 100,000 people to 4 reporters covering a county of 130,000 people.
Yeah.
You're not going to get your news. You're not going to report the things that's going on. And what we're seeing is that there are vast areas of this country now that are what we consider news deserts. Small towns, especially out west, where the newspapers have folded. They're not there anymore. So you've got city council, you've got board of education, you've got whoever in that little town. There's no accountability.
Yeah.
There ain't nobody reporting on what they're doing. There ain't nobody holding their feet to the fire. There ain't nobody, saying, well, so they're voting this way to spend money. People don't know unless they show up to those meetings. They don't fucking know.
And on top of that,
and nobody's doing that.
No.
And to double down on it is that if this same thing had happened in the 50s, it would not have been as big a deal because word of mouth was the big thing.
Yep.
Everybody, you knew your neighbor. Everybody knew what was going on, whatever else. And now, there ain't none of that.
No.
I've got neighbors I've never met.
I got a prime example of this. So where we're at, for everybody listening that don't know, we're in a very rural setting. I have my mother on one side, and then I'm on the other. We don't have anybody. And then 2 doors down from me, we have another neighbor. And, my neighbor, my old hippie neighbor, he's everywhere in here. All you got to do is look around and I'll show you where he's at. But, he was the one who embodied being a neighbor. Mm-hmm. He knew what was going on. He was watching. He'd seen things. If you needed something, he had 3 of them. You were welcome to one of them. But so the other day, my son-in-law goes up to check the mail. Well, my neighbor Mickey seen a strange person walking to the mailbox and walked out, was sitting on his porch and said, "Hey, are you sure you need to be checking Miss McGill's mail?" And he was taken back by it. Like, well, who's he to ask about what I'm doing, And my mom was like, that's what neighbors are for. Explained it to them, to the, in the younger generation, obviously. But yeah, he said that's what neighbors are for. We watch out for each other, So anyway, just a little example of that. But
well, Mike, I can't thank you enough for having me on, brother.
Steve, you're very welcome, man. Again, I can't thank you enough for your friendship through the years and all the good things you've done for me. There's a whole nother show that I could talk about all the things that piss me off and annoy me.
We get back to that too,
but
we'll come back for round 2.
But nonetheless, and obviously I'm teasing, but yeah, man, your story, and we didn't get into a whole bunch of it, and we can, or I don't care, but the main thing is this is one more for the good guys, and you're one of them, man.
I appreciate you, man.
And
thank you. It's an honor to be counted among such company.
Absolutely, and you've always been fair and forthright and very complimentary and helped me do things with getting the press out for years. We'd get the front page on the Blount County Times, and we didn't even do the Christmas thing at the Blount County Times or in Blount County. So all of that is very much appreciated. Thank you for being here.
Thank you,
February 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, Waynestock.
Relish Variety Theater.
Go out, you got no excuses. You can sit around and watch Me TV, or, there won't be any football going on then, or you can watch Cagney and Lacey reruns, or get fatter, go to Taco Bell and get you a double beef burrito supreme, or you can go down, do yourself a favor, and realize all these years the reason you support bacteria is because you need culture in your life. You can go down to Relics Theater and go see some good that's happening in our city. There's all kinds of good things happening out there in the world, folks. And anybody can be an asshole. And it takes somebody special who don't want to be that to not deliver that news, no matter how much you think your statement or your comments or your things that are going to be right when you're posting something on the internet or you're following up to a comment of somebody else. Don't ever forget there's repercussions for those words, and you might actually make an old lady cry when you're doing it. So don't be a dick. Don't be an asshole. Do something kind. Have some empathy for your fellow humans, and tune in again. Jamie, you want to do another one?
Oh, yeah.
All right, you heard it here first.
There we go.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
One more for the good guys.
One more for the good guy.
Either is or you ain't. You do or you don't. You can or you can't. Or you will or you won't. Either way, baby, a good man, well, he's hard to find.